Before I get on out of here, I had to talk about a story that's very, very important. And albeit indirectly, it involves Caitlin Clark.
Silence. That's the loudest sound in basketball right now because the sport's biggest star has stopped speaking. But everywhere around her, people won't stop talking. This isn't some small roster controversy anymore. What we're watching is the slow, deliberate takedown of the most valuable marketing asset in modern sports history. And according to the sharpest voice in sports media, it might already be too late to fix it. There's a story here that the top names in women's basketball desperately don't want told, and Stephen A. Smith just told it anyway. This goes way past benching one player. Caitlin Clark didn't just get left off a roster. She basically walked away from a system that never wanted her there to begin with. For months, the official line was all about standards, dues, seniority, chemistry, nice, clean boardroom language. But peel back that language, and what you find underneath is uglier. It's a story about resentment, about gatekeeping, about small petty jealousy that turned a basketball court into a battleground. Stephen A. Smith didn't just criticize the decision. He tore the curtain back on what's really going on. His take. Clark knows exactly what's happening to her. She's not being targeted because she's not good enough. She's being targeted because she's too important. And even though the Indiana Fever could still make a late push to bring her back in, word going around says that door might already be shut. Shut by Clark herself. Sources close to the situation claim she's done chasing validation from a group of people who've spent the last 6 months trying to tear her down on the court and off it. So why would the most popular athlete in America walk away from the biggest stage in sport? What did everyone else miss that Stephen A. Smith didn't? And is this the moment the top of women's basketball finally killed its own golden goose? Buckle up, because this story gets darker the deeper you go. Let's rewind to when this all broke. It was supposed to be routine, a normal roster announcement, the kind that gets forgotten in 24 hours. Not this time. This felt like an earthquake. Caitlin Clark, the same player single-handedly filling arenas that had been half empty for a decade, was left off the list. And the reaction wasn't confusion, it was outrage. The committee's explanation barely held together. They talked about paying your dues. They said membership required years of commitment. On paper, sure, that sounds reasonable, but it completely ignored reality. You don't leave a generational talent on the bench because he's a rookie. Nobody benches Michael Jordan in year one. Nobody leaves Tiger Woods in the clubhouse because he hasn't earned it yet. You put your best player on the plane. Period. Here's where it turns grim. Insiders started whispering that this wasn't a mistake. It was a message. People close to the selection process admitted there were real concerns about how veteran players would react to Clark's presence. Concerns about the media circus that follows her. In plain terms, established stars were worried a rookie superstar would bruise their egos. This wasn't a basketball decision. It was an emotional one. Comfort for the veterans got prioritized over growing the entire sport. And that's exactly where Stephen A. Smith drew his line. Except his comments went further than criticism. He called it sabotage. Smith is no stranger to blunt takes, but this felt personal. He essentially called the decision reckless on national television, then broke down exactly why. His logic was simple. Basketball at this level is a television product. Every 4 years, casual viewers tune in for events they'd normally ignore. Women's basketball has fought for that kind of attention for years, and suddenly one player was pulling in millions of new eyes. Leave her home, and you leave those millions of casual fans behind. 2. The ones setting reminders for a random Tuesday night game they'd never have cared about otherwise. Smith called it a marketing disaster. He pointed out that winning isn't even the concern here. This team wins regardless of who's on the floor. Their advantage over the rest of the league is so massive they could field a college roster and still compete. The real goal should have been growing the game and expanding its reach. Instead, by cutting Clark, the gatekeepers proved their own hierarchy mattered more to them than the league's future. Smith didn't just call it a mistake. He called it borderline malicious. They didn't miss an opportunity. They rejected one on purpose. And according to Smith, Clark isn't going to forget this. Word is her camp is quietly noting every person who stayed silent while this played out. And that bridge might already be burning. Now, let's talk about the word. Nobody in this league once spoken out loud jealousy. Rewind. Before Clark ever played a single professional minute, the warning shots were already firing. Legends of the game, women sitting at the very top of the sport's history, started making comments that felt oddly hostile. One all-time great warned that reality was coming for Clark. That's not encouragement. That's a threat dressed up as advice. Another legend publicly downplayed Clark's college dominance, suggesting it only came from taking an absurd number of shots per game. Why did established stars feel the need to diminish a 22-year-old before she'd even stepped on a professional court? The theory Smith keeps circling back to his resentment. These veterans played in half-empty gyms. They flew coach. They fought for respect and got paid a fraction of what stars in men's leagues make. Now, an Iowa kid who hadn't played a single pro game had sold out crowds, private travel, and a multi-million-dollar shoe deal waiting for her. Jealousy is human, but in professional sports, veterans usually embrace the rookie who brings the money. Golfers didn't resent Tiger Woods for changing their sport. His popularity doubled their prize money, and they knew it. In this case, the reaction has gone the opposite direction. It's like she's being punished for being popular. Honestly, given the toxicity in that locker room, Clark might be relieved she's not walking into it. And the hostility didn't stay in press conferences. It showed up on the court. This is where the story stops being drama and starts becoming genuinely dangerous. If you've watched the games, you've seen it. Clark isn't just getting physical defense. She's getting hit in ways that have nothing to do with basketball. No veterans rushed to defend her. Instead, plenty of players and commentators shrugged it off. "Welcome to the league," they said, like it was initiation instead of assault. Smith called out the double standard immediately. If a nobody tried that on LeBron James or Steph Curry, the league would come down instantly to protect its investment. With Clark, it looked more like open season. And that changes everything about her decision. Why would she willingly spend weeks on the road with teammates who either took part in targeting her or stood by and watched it happen? The very team she'd be joining is filled with people who've made her life difficult for months. There's no trust left. You can't build a healthy team environment with people who seem to want you to fail. Which brings us to the most explosive part of this whole situation: the soft quit. After the roster news broke, rumors surfaced that Clark would be offered a backup spot, basically ready to step in only if someone got injured. A consolation prize meant to say, "We still value you," without actually giving her a real role. But people close to her say she wasn't interested in being a fallback option. Reportedly, she made it clear politely but firmly that if she wasn't good enough for the main roster, she wasn't going to sit around waiting in the wings either. That's the soft quit. No press conference, no blow-up. She simply quietly withdrew herself from consideration. And Smith's recent comments back this up. His read is that Clark has fully realized her own power. She is the economic engine of this league right now. She doesn't need this specific team to build her brand. They needed her to build theirs. It's the ultimate you made your bed moment. And by taking the time off instead of begging for a spot, she made a power move. The people running this show expected gratitude for scraps. Instead, she's on vacation while they play in front of crowds that are a shadow of what they could have been. And the numbers back all of this up. Games featuring Clark are pulling audiences the sport hasn't seen in 20 years. Ratings jumping 300 to 400% compared to games without her. Arenas sell out. Road games get moved to bigger venues just to handle the demand. She is in every sense a walking economic boost for this league. Smith made this point clearly. Television pays the bills in professional sports. Networks spend serious money for broadcast rights, and they expect ratings in return. By benching Clark, the committee effectively set money on fire, and the retaliation here doesn't require her to do anything. She just has to stay home. The proof will show up in the ratings themselves once fans realize she's not playing and simply change the channel. This isn't just a bad basketball call anymore. It's a bad business call. And in professional sports, losing money is usually the one mistake that actually gets people fired. There's also a deeper culture problem at play. Fans are increasingly calling this league out for cliquish behavior. An insider circle with unofficial initiation rules. This is a tight-knit group that's played together for years, trained together overseas, grinded through the hard years together. Clark represents something new. She represents the casual fan, the outsider, and it seems like insiders resent that. It shows up constantly online, with longtime fans getting brushed off in favor of comments demanding attention be spread around more fairly. The message underneath, whether intended or not, is clear. Newcomers aren't being welcomed. They're being gatekept. That mindset is dangerous for any growing league. You don't interrogate new fans at the door. You bring them in. By excluding Clark, the decision-makers signaled they'd rather protect their small exclusive circle than embrace a massive wave of new popularity. And through it all, Clark has stayed graceful. She praises opponents. She spends hours signing autographs for fans. The more professional she acts, the more the league's internal pettiness stands out by comparison. There's also a business angle nobody's talking about enough. Clark is a major Nike athlete, and Nike sponsors this team heavily. Sponsors typically have real influence over roster decisions. They want their biggest stars visible. So, why didn't they step in? Why didn't corporate pressure change the outcome? Rumor has it even Nike couldn't cut through the internal politics here. Some even suggest the shoe brand has its own loyalties to established veterans and didn't want to disrupt an existing roster relationship. Either way, the outcome suggests the committee wanted to prove a point that sponsors don't run this team, even at the cost of damaging their biggest partnership. Clark had a signature shoe launch on the horizon, and this stage should have been the perfect global platform for it. That opportunity is gone now, and it's just one more example of how badly this entire process was mishandled. We also can't ignore the uncomfortable racial layer to this conversation, even though it deserves care. Clark is white in a league that is majority black. Some players and fans argue the media attention Clark receives reflects a long, well-documented pattern of white athletes getting more coverage and grace than black athletes of similar skill. That's a legitimate, real conversation in sports history. But in this specific case, it's also been used as a weapon in online arguments, especially by players who've clashed with Clark since her college days. When the in-court incident happened, social media split almost instantly along racial lines. Smith, who has never avoided discussing race in sports, has handled this carefully, acknowledging the historical pattern is real, while still pointing out that in this case, the numbers speak for themselves. Her popularity isn't only about her race. It's about her game. The deep shooting range. The highlight reel plays the same kind of wow factor that made a guy like Steph Curry a global name. But there's no denying the tension underneath all of it. And if Clark genuinely believes part of her exclusion is tied to that tension, it puts her in an impossible position. Criticized if she speaks up, criticized if she stays silent. Taking a month away from the spotlight might be exactly what she needs right now for her own peace of mind. Then there's the head coach, who also coaches another team in the league. Someone who is making comments that seem to downplay Clark's popularity before the season even started, complaining about the broadcast schedule favoring her games. Think about that for a second. How comfortable can a player feel under a coach who's publicly grumbling about her getting too much TV time? Smith flagged this as an obvious conflict of interest. The very person deciding the roster had already shown bias against the hype surrounding Clark. When asked directly about leaving her off, the response was cold, short, and dismissive. No real explanation, just a shrug. That's not leadership. Good coaches know how to balance rookie talent with veteran experience. Instead, it looks like the easy road was taken here. Keep the vets happy, sideline the rookie. And in doing so, this coach may have failed the first real leadership test of a new era in the sport. And let's not underestimate what it means to be offered a backup role. Traveling, training, never actually playing unless someone gets hurt. That's the deal. For a player of Clark's level, essentially the face of the entire sport, being offered that role is close to insulting. Imagine telling LeBron James in his rookie year that he'd be a backup option. It wouldn't happen. So, the fact that Clark reportedly walked away from even that fallback position tells you everything about where her head is at. She knows exactly what she's worth. She's not interested in cheering from the sidelines for a group of people who never wanted her on the floor in the first place. And that's the mentality Stephen A. Smith respects most. So, here's the real question. Is this the beginning of the end for one of the biggest stars this sport has ever produced? Or is this the moment she takes full control of her own power? Drop your take in the comments below, because this story is far from over. Hit subscribe, turn on notifications, and stay tuned because the next chapter of the saga might be even bigger than the first.